We've got Thomas Williams, 74, possible GSW to the left shoulder. BP is dropping.
Get him into trauma 1 now.
IV line in. Vitals checked. Blood pressure dangerously low. Internal bleeding suspected.
Get Dr. Patterson!
You won't believe what happened in this small-town hospital. A nurse suspended, a veteran abandoned, and then a twist no one saw coming. Broadcasted live. Rebecca Martinez never imagined that saving a life would cost her everything. The security footage shows it all. 11:47 p.m., emergency room doors burst open, 2 paramedics wheeling in an unconscious man, blood soaking through his torn jacket. The kind of scene Rebecca had witnessed hundreds of times in her 12 years as head nurse at Riverside General. But this wasn't just any patient. The man's dog tags caught the fluorescent light as they lifted him onto the gurney. Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart recipient, Thomas Tank Williams, age 74, and according to his insurance status, uninsured. Rebecca's hands moved with practiced precision. IV line in, vitals checked, blood pressure dangerously low, internal bleeding suspected. Get Dr. Patterson, she called to the resident. He's not coming, came the reply that changed everything. Dr. Patterson had looked at the patient chart, saw the insurance status, made a decision that would haunt this hospital forever. Transfer him to County General. County General was 43 miles away, through mountain roads, in a thunderstorm. Tank Williams wouldn't survive the trip. Rebecca Martinez looked at the dying veteran, then at the ambulance crew preparing for transfer, then at her supervisor walking away. She made a choice that would make her a hero and cost her everything. Rebecca Martinez wasn't your typical small-town nurse. Born in El Paso to a family of 5 kids, she'd worked 2 jobs through nursing school. Graduated top of her class, could have taken positions at prestigious hospitals in Dallas or Houston. Instead, she chose Riverside General. Her grandfather, Miguel Martinez, had been a Korean War veteran, died waiting for proper care at an understaffed VA hospital. Rebecca swore she'd never let another veteran suffer the same fate. For 12 years, she'd been the backbone of Riverside's emergency department, the nurse who stayed late, who remembered patients' names, who fought insurance companies on the phone for hours to get approvals. Her colleagues called her the guardian angel. Patients called her the woman who actually cares. Management called her difficult. Because Rebecca Martinez had a problem. She couldn't walk past suffering, even when the paperwork said she should, especially when the paperwork said she should. That Thursday night started like any other. Rebecca was covering the late shift, 3rd time that week. The hospital was understaffed. Budget cuts had eliminated 6 nursing positions. The remaining staff was stretched beyond breaking point. At 11:30 p.m., her phone buzzed. Text from her daughter Emma, away at college. Mom, struggling with chemistry. Can you help tomorrow? Rebecca smiled, typing back, Of course, honey. I'll call you after. The ambulance sirens cut through the quiet night. Tank Williams arrived unconscious. Vietnam veteran jacket soaked in blood. His medical bracelet showed multiple prescriptions, heart medication, diabetes insulin, PTSD treatments. All medications he couldn't afford to fill regularly. The paramedics' report was grim. Found him collapsed in his apartment. Neighbor heard his dog barking for hours. Looks like internal bleeding, possibly from a fall. Rebecca ran the preliminary tests. Tank's condition was critical but treatable. With proper emergency surgery, he had an excellent chance of recovery. Then Dr. Patterson arrived. 5 seconds looking at the chart. 1 glance at the insurance status. Prep him for transfer to County General. Doctor, he won't survive the transfer, Rebecca said. Not in this storm, not with his blood pressure dropping. Not our problem. He should have thought about that before showing up here without insurance. The words hung in the air like poison. Rebecca had heard this before. Riverside General was a for-profit hospital. Uninsured patients meant financial losses. The company policy was clear: stabilize and transfer. But Tank Williams wasn't stable enough to transfer, and Rebecca Martinez couldn't watch another veteran die because of paperwork. The decision that changed everything, 11:52 p.m. 5 minutes to make a choice that would define her entire life. Rebecca looked at Tank Williams, unconscious, breathing shallow, blood pressure dropping every minute. She looked at the transfer paperwork Dr. Patterson had signed. She looked at the storm raging outside, sheets of rain against the emergency room windows. Then she picked up the phone and called Dr. Sarah Kim, the off-duty surgeon who lived 10 minutes away. "Sarah, I need you here now. We have an emergency surgery." "Rebecca, I'm not on call tonight. Can't Patterson handle it?" Patterson ordered a transfer to County General in this storm. Silence on the line. "The patient won't make it, will he?" "No, he won't. I'll be there in 8 minutes." Rebecca hung up and walked to Tank Williams' bedside. His dog tags read, Thomas A. Williams, Vietnam, 1968-1970, Bronze Star, Purple Heart. She thought about her grandfather Miguel, about the promise she'd made at his funeral. Then she did something that would make headlines across the nation. She called the transfer crew and told them to stand down. She prepped Tank Williams for emergency surgery. She assembled the surgical team. And she saved a veteran's life. Friday morning, 6:47 a.m. Rebecca's shift was supposed to end at 7 o'clock. Tank Williams was stable. Surgery successful. Dr. Kim had removed a ruptured spleen and stopped the internal bleeding. Full recovery expected. Rebecca was updating his chart when hospital administrator Janet Pierce walked into the ICU. "Nurse Martinez, my office. Now." The walk down the hallway felt like a funeral march. Other nurses stopped their conversations, whispered behind clipboards. Everyone knew what was coming. Janet Pierce didn't waste time on pleasantries. "You directly disobeyed a physician's orders. You authorized unauthorized surgery. You violated hospital protocol. I saved a man's life. You cost this hospital $68,000 in uncompensated care." Rebecca felt the words like a slap. $68,000. Tank Williams' life reduced to a number on a spreadsheet. That man is a Purple Heart recipient. He served his country in Vietnam. He deserved to be transferred to the appropriate facility for his insurance status. The suspension letter was already typed, effective immediately, pending investigation. Security would escort her out. 12 years of service, thousands of patients saved, hundreds of late nights covering short-staffed shifts. None of it mattered in. Rebecca Martinez was walked out of Riverside General Hospital at 7:23 a.m. on a Friday morning, carrying a cardboard box with her stethoscope, family photos, and a coffee mug that read, "World's Best Nurse," a gift from Emma. The local newspaper was there. Someone had tipped them off. The photo ran on the front page. Rebecca Martinez, suspended nurse, walking to her car in the hospital parking lot. The headline read, "Nurse fired for saving veteran's life." But that was just the beginning. By noon Friday, the story had exploded across social media. #Justice for Rebecca began trending on Twitter. Facebook posts shared thousands of times. Local news stations picked up the story. Tank Williams, recovering in his hospital bed, learned what Rebecca had sacrificed for him. "She saved my life," he told Channel 7 News, voice breaking. "And they fired her for it. That woman is a hero." The story resonated beyond Riverside city limits. Veterans organizations shared it. Nursing groups posted statements of support. The American Legion chapter issued a formal protest. But the most powerful voice came from an unexpected source. Emma Martinez, Rebecca's daughter, posted a video on TikTok that weekend. Sitting in her dorm room, tears in her eyes, she told the world about her mother. "My mom has saved hundreds of lives. She's worked Christmas shifts so other nurses could be with their families. She stayed late to hold scared patients' hands. She's the reason I want to become a nurse." The video got 2 million views in 24 hours. "Yesterday, my mom saved a veteran's life. Today, she's unemployed. This is what's wrong with our healthcare system." 5 million views, 10 million, shared by celebrities, politicians, and ordinary people who recognized injustice when they saw it. #Rebecca Martinez became a rallying cry for healthcare reform. But Rebecca Martinez was just trying to pay her bills. Sunday night. Rebecca sat at her kitchen table, laptop open, scrolling through job listings. Every hospital in the region had heard about the suspension. HR departments were concerned about liability issues. Insurance companies had questions about protocol adherence. The woman who'd been called irreplaceable was suddenly unemployable. Emma called from college. Mom, I saw the news coverage. Are you okay? Rebecca looked around her modest home. Mortgage payments due, Emma's tuition due, car payment due, health insurance, through her job at Riverside canceled. I'm fine, honey. Don't worry about me. But Rebecca Martinez wasn't fine. 12 years of savings were dwindling, job prospects were non-existent, and despite the social media support, despite the news coverage, despite the thousands of messages calling her a hero, she was facing financial ruin. The irony wasn't lost on her. She'd saved a veteran's life and lost her own livelihood. The system she'd fought against was now destroying her. Monday morning brought more bad news. Riverside General's legal team was considering charges of insubordination and unauthorized medical practice. Rebecca stared at the letter and wondered if she'd made the worst mistake of her life. Had saving Tank Williams been worth losing everything? Tuesday afternoon brought an unexpected visitor. Dr. Sarah Kim stood on Rebecca's doorstep, holding 2 cups of coffee and a folder full of documents. We need to talk. Sarah had been thinking about Friday night, about the surgery, about the choice they'd made together. I performed that surgery, Rebecca, but I wouldn't have been there without your call. We saved Tank's life together. The folder contained something remarkable, a petition signed by 47 Riverside General employees, nurses, technicians, orderlies, even 2 physicians, all demanding Rebecca's reinstatement. This hospital runs on your shoulders, Sarah said. The ER is chaos without you. Patient complaints are up 300%. Staff morale is in the toilet. But the most significant signature was at the bottom of the page. Dr. Richard Patterson, the same doctor who'd ordered Tank Williams' transfer, had signed the petition for Rebecca's return. Patterson signed? Rebecca couldn't believe it. Tank Williams is his patient now. Post-surgery recovery. Patterson's been visiting him every day. Tank told him about Vietnam, about watching his buddy die because a medic was following orders instead of doing what was right. Patterson hasn't been the same since. Change was coming to Riverside General, but not from inside the hospital. The pressure was building from outside, and it was about to reach a breaking point. The television moment Wednesday evening. Channel 7 News was preparing their weekly community focus segment. The story had grown beyond a local hospital controversy. National media was picking up the narrative. Veterans groups were organizing protests. Nursing organizations were calling for boycotts. Riverside General's parent company, MedCorp Industries, was facing a public relations nightmare. Stock prices dropping, social media backlash intensifying, corporate sponsors questioning their partnerships. CEO William Patterson, Dr. Patterson's older brother, flew in from Dallas for emergency damage control. Channel 7's anchor, Maria Santos, had covered Rebecca's story from the beginning. She'd interviewed Tank Williams, spoken with supporting staff, and documented the community outcry. Wednesday's show was supposed to be her final report on the controversy. Nobody expected what happened next. At 6:47 p.m. during the live broadcast, Maria Santos received a breaking news alert. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting word that William Patterson, CEO of MedCorp Industries, is here at our studio. He's requested to make a live statement about the Rebecca Martinez situation. The camera cut to the news desk. William Patterson sat across from Maria Santos, looking nervous and exhausted. Mr. Patterson, you've flown here from Dallas specifically to address this situation. What would you like to tell our viewers? Patterson looked directly into the camera. I want to tell them about a conversation I had with my brother Richard today, about a veteran named Tank Williams, about a nurse named Rebecca Martinez, and about a company that lost sight of its mission. The television studio was dead silent except for the hum of cameras. William Patterson, CEO of a multi-billion-dollar healthcare corporation, looked like a man carrying the weight of the world. 3 days ago, I thought this was a simple personnel issue. A nurse who broke protocol, a hospital enforcing policy. Black and white. He paused, gathering himself. Then I met Tank Williams. The camera zoomed in slightly. Patterson's voice grew stronger. Tank Williams served 2 tours in Vietnam, saved 3 soldiers' lives in combat, came home to a country that didn't want him, struggled with PTSD for 50 years, worked construction until his body broke down, never married because he couldn't afford to take care of a family. Maria Santos listened, understanding this was more than a corporate apology. Last week, Tank Williams collapsed in his apartment. alone. His dog, a rescue he'd saved from the streets, was the only one who knew he was dying. Patterson's voice cracked slightly. Rebecca Martinez had a choice: follow hospital protocol and watch a veteran die, or break the rules and save a life. The pause stretched for what felt like minutes. She chose to save him, and we punished her for it. Patterson reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. This is Rebecca Martinez's suspension letter, signed by my hospital administrator, approved by my company. He held it up to the camera, then he tore it in half. Effective immediately, Rebecca Martinez is reinstated to her position as head nurse at Riverside General Hospital, with full back pay, with our sincerest apologies, and with a guarantee that no employee will ever again be punished for choosing compassion over corporate policy. The studio erupted. The camera caught Maria Santos wiping away tears. But Patterson wasn't finished. The promise that changed everything. But reinstating one nurse isn't enough, Patterson continued, his voice gaining strength with each word. Today I'm announcing the establishment of the Tank Williams Veterans Care Fund, a $50 million endowment to ensure that no veteran is ever again denied emergency care due to insurance status. The camera captured the shock on Maria Santos's face. Furthermore, MedCorp Industries is implementing the Rebecca Martinez protocol across all our facilities. Any employee who provides life-saving care to a patient, regardless of insurance status, will be protected and commended, not punished. Patterson looked directly into the camera. We forgot that healthcare is about healing people, not profit margins. Rebecca Martinez reminded us who we're supposed to be. He stood up from the interview chair. Rebecca, if you're watching this, and I hope you are, Riverside General needs you. Our patients need you, and I'm personally asking you to forgive us and come home. The live broadcast ended with something unprecedented: a corporate CEO publicly apologizing for choosing profits over patients and promising to do better. Within minutes, the video was trending worldwide. Shot Rebecca coming home had Tank Williams' hero, corporate redemption. But the most important person watching wasn't checking social media. Rebecca Martinez was sitting in her kitchen, crying tears of relief, hope, and vindication. Her phone was ringing. Thursday morning, 7 o'clock a.m. Rebecca Martinez walked through the front doors of Riverside General Hospital. The lobby was packed. Patients, families, staff members, and reporters, all waiting to witness her return. Tank Williams was there, still in a wheelchair, but recovering strongly. He saluted as she walked past. "Thank you for saving my life, ma'am." Rebecca knelt beside his wheelchair. "Thank you for reminding us all what service means." The elevator ride to the emergency department felt like ascending to a new world. When the doors opened, the entire nursing staff was waiting. Applause, tears, hugs that lasted too long. Dr. Patterson, Richard, not William, approached with something resembling humility. "Rebecca, I owe you an apology. What you did was follow policy," Rebecca interrupted. "What we're going to do now is change those policies." The emergency department felt different. Same equipment, same hallways, same smell of antiseptic and hope. But something fundamental had shifted. On her desk, Rebecca found a new badge. Rebecca Martinez, RN, Head of Patient Advocacy. Her job description had expanded beyond nursing. She was now responsible for ensuring that every patient received appropriate care regardless of their ability to pay. The Rebecca Martinez protocol wasn't just corporate PR. It was a real policy change that would protect healthcare workers who prioritize patients over profits. But the most meaningful change was personal. 6 months later, Rebecca Martinez stood in the same emergency room where everything had changed. Tank Williams was there too, but not as a patient. He'd become a volunteer, helping other veterans navigate the healthcare system. "You know what the best part is?" Tank asked, organizing patient information pamphlets. "What's that?" "My story isn't unique. There are hundreds of veterans, thousands of patients who needed someone to fight for them. You didn't just save my life. You saved a system." Rebecca looked around the bustling emergency department. New protocols in place, additional staff hired, a veterans liaison program established. The Rebecca Martinez protocol had been implemented in 47 hospitals across 3 states. Insurance companies were changing policies, Medical schools were adding patient advocacy to their curricula. Emma had transferred to nursing school. Inspired by her mother's example, she wanted to be part of the solution. Dr. Patterson, William Amenum, Nadim, had kept his promises. The Tank Williams Veterans Care Fund had helped 312 veterans receive necessary medical care. The corporate culture at MedCorp was genuinely changing, but for Rebecca, the most important change was simpler. Every shift, she could look at herself in the mirror and know she'd chosen compassion over compliance. She'd risked everything to save one life. And in saving that life, she'd helped heal a broken system, the legacy. 1 year after that stormy Thursday night, Rebecca Martinez received an unexpected phone call. Ms. Martinez, this is Senator Elizabeth Warren's office. The senator would like to invite you to testify before the Senate Healthcare Committee about patient advocacy and healthcare worker protections. The Rebecca Martinez protocol had caught the attention of federal lawmakers. Her story had become a case study in healthcare reform. But Rebecca Martinez wasn't interested in fame or politics. She was interested in patients. Every shift brought new challenges. Uninsured patients who needed care, insurance companies denying treatments, corporate policies that prioritize profits. But now she had something she didn't have before: institutional support for doing the right thing. The emergency department at Riverside General had become a model for patient-centered care. Medical students came to observe. Healthcare administrators studied their protocols. Tank Williams had fully recovered and become the face of veteran healthcare advocacy. He'd testified before Congress, spoken at medical conferences, and helped establish veteran care programs in 12 states. Dr. Patterson, Richard, had transformed from a policy-following bureaucrat into a patient advocate. He'd established a scholarship fund for nursing students who committed to working in underserved communities. And William Patterson had proven that corporate leaders could choose conscience over quarterly profits. But the real legacy wasn't in the policies or procedures. It was in the precedent. Healthcare workers across the country knew about Rebecca Martinez. They knew that sometimes saving a life requires breaking rules. They knew that someone had risked everything for a patient and won. They knew that compassion could triumph over corporate policy. And they knew that one nurse, one decision, one moment of moral courage could change everything. The final word today: if you walk into the emergency department at Riverside General Hospital, you'll see a plaque near the nurses' station. It reads, "In honor of all healthcare workers who choose patience over policies, compassion over compliance, and healing over profit. Dedicated to Rebecca Martinez, RN, and Tank Williams, Vietnam veteran, whose courage reminds us why we became healers." Below the plaque is a simple message: first, do no harm, then do whatever it takes to heal. Rebecca Martinez still works the night shift. She still fights insurance companies on the phone. She still stays late to comfort scared patients. But she does it all with the knowledge that her profession, her hospital, and her community support her commitment to putting patients first. Tank Williams visits every month, checking on the veteran patients and sharing his story with anyone who'll listen. The Rebecca Martinez protocol has been adopted by healthcare systems in 23 states. Emma Martinez graduated nursing school summa cum laude and works alongside her mother in the same emergency department. And somewhere in America tonight, a healthcare worker is facing the same choice Rebecca Martinez faced that stormy Thursday evening. Choose safety or courage. Choose policy or patience. Choose compliance or compassion. Thanks to Rebecca Martinez, they know that choosing patience isn't just the right thing to do. It's the protected thing to do. The story that began with a suspended nurse and an abandoned veteran became a movement that transformed healthcare for millions of Americans. All because one woman refused to let a veteran die on her watch. All because she understood that some rules are meant to be broken. All because she remembered that healthcare is about healing people, not protecting profits. Rebecca Martinez saved Tank Williams' life. But in doing so, she saved something much bigger. She saved the soul of American healthcare. And that's a legacy worth fighting for. If this story moved you, share it. Healthcare workers everywhere need to know they're not alone when they fight for their patients. Veterans everywhere need to know there are still people fighting for them. And everyone needs to remember that sometimes the most important choice we make is choosing courage over comfort. compassion over compliance, and patience over policies. The Rebecca Martinez Protocol isn't just a hospital policy. It's a reminder that every one of us has the power to choose what's right over what's easy. What choice will you make?